Hello, weather world. How are you guys doing today? So I'm trying a little bit of a different setup with my camera today. So if it looks a little funky, I'm sorry. So I'm going to work on that and see how we do. So we get some weather moving into the area this afternoon. Nothing I am overly concerned with as of yet. We are going to talk about it today and kind of go over a little bit about what the Storm Prediction Center is saying and what this looks like for our area. So give me 1 second as I finish setting that up. There is an update coming for this, so we will talk about that a little bit as well. What's going on? So as we get this set up here, hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. A little bit of an update on me. Kind of looking into the future as far as weather goes. Next week, I am having neck surgery on the 14th. So potentially next time you see me, I'll have a nice fat neck brace on and things will get a lot better. So right now I'm waiting for fusion surgery. I have some discs that are herniated and some other things going on with bone spurs and just some other degenerative issues that they're going to have to fix as well. So that is what's coming. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I've lost a little bit of weight. We're going to continue that process as well. Can't wait. So we are going to get this weather briefing kicking. All right. So what you see on your screen right there is from the Storm Prediction Center. That's in Norman, Oklahoma. I don't know if that's actually listed anywhere, but yeah, there it is, Norman, Oklahoma. Anywho, so hopefully you all know by now where we're located in northeastern Indiana, or where you're located. So this is for today. Categorical, we are level 2 for slight risk. And that's 2 out of 5. Tornado risk is 2%. That's 2% over a 25-mile area. Wind is 15%, so we're definitely going to have a higher wind risk today. And hail is in a 15 risk as well. You'll see down in this hashed area over here through north central Texas, through central Oklahoma, Nebraska, Missouri, and into Illinois, there is a larger hail risk there as well. So we'll get into that a little bit. And then while we're here, we're going to go ahead and look at day 2. Just some general thunderstorms for us in northeast Indiana, down here through Texas and Arkansas, a little bit of Oklahoma, a little bit of Missouri, a little bit of Tennessee. They're in a slight risk as well. And they have a greater tornado risk down there. So you'll see that brown hashed area. That's for higher intensity and whatnot. So that's what we watch for on that. Day 3, everything stays down to our south. And then looking day 4 through 8, potentials too low. Which means there's nothing that they're really actually actively watching currently. So what does our day look like for the weather models? So hello, David Yoder. So what we're looking at time frame wise, the GFS moves pretty quick through this, but you can see that everything's kind of scattered in nature there. The HRRR model, as we get through this evening, you can see this is about 8 p.m. So 8 p.m. Like I was talking about with some other people today, is when we're starting to look for some of those scattered storms to develop. There's actually a boundary layer kind of forming through here, which is causing this. Oops. And then you can kind of see most of it's going to stay out to the north and the west with some potential development around us and to the north. And then we look at the NAM, which is another weather model that I like to use just for a little bit of accuracy. Now, this is just kind of like a picture in time for what the weather could look like for our area. And you can see that there's a little bit of a curved boundary area right here. That's where those storms are most likely to develop as we kind of get in there and watch what happens. And a lot of people are like, Brad, what does that mean for us? That means that there's a potential for some scattered showers and storms this afternoon. There was a risk for some atmospheric river potential, and we'll get into that a little bit and what happened and what changed, so we can both better understand the weather and how it looks for the future, because Wednesday looks absolutely wet. So when looking at this, you can see the scattered nature of all those storms around there. We can click in any potent area and it's going to say tornado. That's just because the NAM typically leans a lot harder to some of those severe risks. If anything does spin up, it's going to be brief in nature. The energy levels are just not going to be there today because of the lack in moisture. That's where the HRRR model really comes in and shows itself to be a little bit more accurate than that model there. So we're going to jump back in here. Let's see where we're at here. So we should be able to use, this is the latest and greatest from the HRRR model. So we jump through a little bit in time here. You can see kind of how things just pop off there throughout the afternoon or evening rather. This is 1 o'clock in the morning when we get just an abundant line of moisture. This is all going to be sub-severe. You can see it says possible hazard here. It says none. We can go back a little bit. This should give us the same thing, none. So that's what I've really been watching. And I'll kind of show you why I haven't been concerned as far as this goes. What we want to look at is the Cape, which shows the instability around that time. Really just struggle to stay in there, and then it just kind of falls apart. Now, is there a possibility that it could stick around? That is possible. So, oops. I'm not wearing my glasses. I left them inside, so shame on me, but that's why the squints are happening. So we look at the dew points, the low to mid 50s throughout most of this event this evening into tomorrow. That's why most of the risk factors are down here where you get the mid 60s dew points. That's very important for instability to be able to form. So that's what we really kind of look at on what our potential is going to be, and you can kind of see how that cold front boundary layer comes through there. So we can look at the photographs. This kind of shows what the storm slinky looks like and everything like that as things come through. This is surface level instability. So we can kind of see that there's a little bit of a capping inversion up here, and that's kind of getting sucked down into Indiana. Right now, Lake Michigan is still kind of cold. So what happens with that, you get what's called a, well, hello there, Huntington County Emergency Management. Good afternoon. It's barely afternoon here, but so what happens with Lake Michigan when it's as cold as it is right now still, it hasn't had that opportunity to grab a lot of that heating and completely warm up yet. It has like a cold inversion layer that slips under the storms, and that's why once that daytime heating's over and we get into the evening time frame, that's when things kind of die out. And that's because as most of our cold fronts come through from the northwest, you get that cold push of moisture off of the lake, which inhibits storm growth. So as things move through, that's why you'll see this area through here that's just struggling to really gain steam. So as we go through here, we do have an area here that's above 500 up to 671. So there is a possibility for some of that stronger development there in that area. So we can watch that, but I don't see anything that's going to be absolutely significant. So, you know, we can look at the different wind shear levels and everything like that as we get through time. And we'll get down here. We'll do this. So we can see that most of the issues are going to be down here where the higher shear levels are going to be. And then things kind of fall apart as they come through. Now, this is part of your upper level jet stream, this trough that causes the activity and whatnot. But it's just not playing into a good factor for us as we go through time. So, like I said, there is a potential. You can see some of that development. And we were talking about a line from Lafayette to Warsaw up to South Bend, and then everything to the west is what I was really looking at. And then as we get into the early morning hours, this is all sub-severe. We just get that heavier rain as it comes in. So I did mention earlier that we would talk a little bit about where these the cutoff is coming from. So let's go ahead and grab that. We're going to go out, kind of zoom out a little bit, and we can see that down here in central Mexico, there's a low pressure over there. And you can see that it's actually a dry low pressure as it's stuck in central Mexico. It's not actually pulling any Pacific, Gulf, or Atlantic moisture. Most of the moisture trough is up here with the jet stream. You can see that cutoff between the red and the blue. Now, as that jet stream moves through, it does drop just a little bit there before starting to lift back up. So we lose the low pressure here. We have two low pressure systems here. And this is going to help bring up some of that Gulf moisture. But you'll notice we're already into Tuesday. Okay, so this is 1 o'clock in the morning. We can see a long line of moisture starting to form over here. This is where we start to get that Gulf moisture that persists from the Gulf of America, up through and along the Texas coast, up through Louisiana, Arkansas, and whatnot, up to us. So then we get into Wednesday, and things kind of turn into an atmospheric river for us as the jet stream drops a little bit further, and then we get a little bit of rain on Wednesday. Tuesday night into Wednesday is going to be a little bit of a super soaker for you guys. No severe weather is expected or anticipated at that time. So going back to this, we're going to talk about day one more time. And there was some language down here. Let's see if we've hit the update. We have not yet. Where was it? Scattered to strong severe storms are possible Tuesday afternoon and evening from northeast Texas into western Tennessee. Okay. That's where I read that and say, okay, that's not us. With the main threat concern over Arkansas, some storms may produce large hail, damaging gusts, or a couple tornadoes. So that's basically up through Arkansas into Tennessee. That's not going to be us. A weakening, important language there. A weakening upper low will move into Ontario, from Ontario into Quebec. Okay, so that's up in Canada. That's where I was talking about that jet stream that's north of us. We kind of saw that on the shear. I keep looking up there because I'm used to my camera there. But, we look into where that jet stream is. That's a weakening low pressure system. It was a lot stronger, and it had the ability to pull more moisture into itself. But that's kind of where it happens. So, and then it says, with a leading speed max moving quickly out of the Great Lakes region. Behind the system, high pressure will move southward into the northern Rockies and plains. Associated cold front will move across lower Great Lakes during the day, extending southwestward across the Ozarks, which is Missouri, and into eastern Oklahoma, where surface low is forecast. And we kind of saw that. So a positive tilt upper trough will exist over the southwestern states. It's not going to really affect us, but you can see that most of the conversation for day one, or that's day two, I'm sorry, goodness. Here we go. Mid-level vorticity maximum over the lower Missouri Valley is forecast to move east across Illinois through the late afternoon and into Indiana, Ohio tonight. Associated speed maximum at 700 millibars will intensify and overspread Illinois. That's the 40 to 50 knots, which is actually pretty slow for some of these storm systems. So that's what we got to kind of watch. And then it says, while pronounced strengthening of 850 millibar flow 50 knot occurs during the 9 o'clock through midnight period. Cold mid-level temperatures, which comes from Lake Michigan in our area, will act to offset instability, meager moisture, which means that it kind of pushes that out of the way. Model guidance varies considerably. So when we looked at the HRRR model and we looked at the NAM model, they're not in agreement. So that's kind of what I was looking at. And this kind of backs that up, saying, hey, this is a what-if scenario. We're going to need the moisture. We're going to need the dew points for anything to really pop off. That's really what they're getting into. Model guidance varies considerably regarding moisture quality. Another important word, with ample spread amongst different model cores, PBL schemes. However, it appears narrow corridor of lower to mid 50s Surface dew points will extend northeast from the lower Missouri Valley into the southern Great Lakes by mid to late afternoon. So that's what we're watching on. And here's where it's talking in the 500 to 1250 MLK, which is the instability that we're watching for. And like I said, we kind of struggle to get into that 500 range. So we're going to have to continue to watch that. Morning model guidance shows widely scattered to scattered storms developing within the warm conveyor during peak heating as convective inhibition erodes, which means that things are going to kind of pull back. So as things move across, things should pull back. They have expanded the slight risk further east into this region to account for the hail wind risk with stronger storms. Uncertainty remains regarding quality of boundary layer of moisture across the northern third of Indiana into northwest Ohio, where they become enlarged later this afternoon into early evening. They're going to reevaluate the tornado risk here in about 20 minutes if, in fact, moisture quality seems sufficient for a focused short-duration tornado risk across the aforementioned corridor. So this is what we're talking about. So let's back it up a little bit. We get into this evening. We have those storms develop. We have the low pressure developing out here. Low pressure disappears in Mexico, but that moisture trough doesn't really hit us until Wednesday. So that's what we really have to watch this afternoon as we get into time. And we'll kind of zoom this in a little bit so we can kind of see a little bit better. We got Northeast Indiana right over here. We get to that 8 o'clock time frame right there. 9, 10, 11, midnight. So you can kind of see this is an updated model guidance as well. This is going through and updating right now, and it's really starting to show that lack of moisture and the lack of instability. No possible hazard types there. So I really see this as kind of pulling back rather than pushing forward, even though they upgraded us. Yesterday, if you would ask me if we were going to be in a slight risk and have the risk for severe weather, I would have said yes, because I watched a stronger line of storms come through on the models, but that is all kind of dissipated a little bit. And that's partially in part due to the slower integration of the moisture layer. So, but we can see as we get into Tuesday afternoon, we still got rain and showers coming through into Wednesday overnight, and that's when things start to get really wet. And that's all going to depend on where this the jet stream really sets up. I'm expecting it to set up more right here along the second blue line rather than the first one. That's going to bring us more moisture to the area that we'll have to keep an eye on to for already saturated grounds. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. I just went over an absolute lot of information, but I'm not feeling that we're going to get too much coming this afternoon and this evening. So we can come down here, look at severe weather. We'll look at the tornado parameter. We can kind of see for our area, it pops off and then it just kind of falls apart. And the supercell composite does the same thing. So showers and storms this afternoon are possible. Anything severe has quickly started to degrade for this afternoon. I kind of wanted to show you guys what we were looking at and why, so that we're all on the same page. If something does happen or pop off later this afternoon / this evening, we will be here and ready to go live at any point to keep you guys informed. I don't anticipate going live just for rain. So, but if anything does pop off, make sure you have a way to get your warnings. Yeah, that's about it. Our greatest risk is going to fall for that wind threat, though, this afternoon, as some of that bulk shear gets a little bit closer to us. So we do have that risk for some downdraft outflow storms to come through and push some wind through. So we'll keep an eye on it. We're here for you. If you have any questions, send us a message. Be more than happy to discuss that with you. Other than that, that's it for me. Anything happens in the future here, we will be there for you. We can actually go in here and take a look. I haven't posted a forecast in a while. Oops. But if you ever want to see where I go for just a generalized forecast, I used to use the Weather Channel quite a bit, and I stopped doing that just for the simple reason It just doesn't. Where did we go? Why am I doing this? Anyway, but it's too AI integrated. And I decided that this was going to be a little bit better. So today, high of 76, chance for some thunderstorms, low of 51 today. Thunderstorms likely, then showers likely. Let's add this back in here like that. And then we're going to kind of cool back off again. We can see Tuesday, high of 59, low 43. Showers are going to be likely Tuesday night, and into Wednesday high of 56. And then we get down into the 30s Wednesday night, low of 37, high of 57 on Thursday, 62 on Friday, with a chance of showers overnight. Correct. That's kind of what I was saying, Mike, when I was messaging you. I think it's going to back off quite a bit today. There is a chance for development. It's all going to be dependent on the moisture. So we're just going to have to keep an eye on that. Like I said in the live, I believe that the inability to get sufficient moisture in the area for these to really develop, I think, is going to hold everything quite a bit back. So we have a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon, mainly after 5 p.m. And then tonight, 70%. With new rainfall amounts between 1/10 and 1/4 of an inch, higher amounts in thunderstorms. But that's all going to depend on that moisture amount that can actually make it in. So, and then Tuesday, between 1/4 and 1/2 inch of rain. And Tuesday night, 1/10 to 1/4 inch. And then Wednesday, I'm going to expect probably another 1/2 inch rain when that shift comes in the jet stream. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that as well. Yeah. So we're going to keep an eye on the future forecast here. But from what I'm seeing, you may not see me until I have a neck brace back on. So we'll see. That's 10 days away. And we'll go from there. All right, guys. That's going to do it for me today. If you have any questions, feel free to send us a message. That's what we're here for. And yeah, that's all I got. So have a good rest of your day. And enjoy this weather today, and we'll watch these storms as they get into the area. Have a good one.